You're 26 years old, selling meat and seafood door to door on Long Island, New York, 1987, when your boss pulls you aside and says something that changes everything. The market crashed today, kid. We're done. You're broke, newly married, and your most valuable asset is a phone voice that could sell ice to a penguin, so you do what any reasonable person would do. You drive to a boiler room in Queens and ask if they're hiring. They are. Congratulations. You've just stepped into the most gloriously chaotic financial dumpster fire in American history. The place looks like someone spilled a Wall Street brochure into a garage sale. Folding tables, rotary phones, and grown men in short-sleeve dress shirts, screaming numbers into receivers like their lives depend on it. Because they do. You pick up a phone, you make a call, you sell 100 shares of a penny stock to a plumber in New Jersey who absolutely did not need penny stocks. Your commission is 50%. You almost fall off your chair. A guy next to you leans over and whispers, "You've got the gift, man." You nod like you knew this all along. You did not know this all along. You knew nothing. But knowing nothing has never stopped anyone on Wall Street, and it certainly isn't stopping you today. Within a few weeks, you're making more money than your father made in a year, and he was not a stupid man. You open your own firm. You call it Stratton Oakmont. Sounds prestigious. Sounds old money. Sounds like a place where serious, responsible financial decisions get made by serious, responsible people in serious, responsible suits. It is absolutely none of those things. Your wife, the first one, looks at all of this and says reasonably, "This is insane. I am leaving." You respond to this entirely fair assessment by almost immediately marrying a British-born model you met at a party. Her name is Nadine, though you call her the Duchess. She is stunning. She has no idea what she has walked into, but she figures it out pretty quickly. Usually around the time you try to land a helicopter on the lawn while high on enough sedatives to put down a horse. You hire your friends, then you hire strangers, then you hire anyone who can walk through a door and fog a mirror. Your training program consists essentially of you yelling motivational speeches at people until they believe they can sell anything to anyone. And the terrifying part? It works. Your brokers are 22 years old and making $300,000 a year. Your receptionist drives a BMW. Your janitor has a boat. You're not sure what's happening anymore, but it's happening fast. Then there's the Steve Madden IPO. You take a guy who makes chunky women's shoes and turn him into a financial titan using rat holes, proxies who hold your stock so the SEC doesn't see your fingerprints. You call Steve and say, "Steve, baby, I'm going to make you the king of footwear." Steve, who is mostly confused, asks, "Do I have to wear a suit?" You tell him, "Steve, for $20 million, you can wear a trash bag, and people will call it avant-garde. Just keep making the shoes and let me handle the magic." The stock soars. You make $22 million in 3 minutes. You celebrate by buying a literal lion for the office because at this point, why wouldn't you? The morning meetings at Stratton Oakmont are something to behold. Picture 100 young men in suspenders, vibrating with caffeine and greed, chanting like a sports team that forgot what sport they were playing. You walk in and the room erupts. This is not normal. This is not how financial institutions typically operate. The SEC is already making notes. Your best friend Donnie walks into your office one afternoon eating a sandwich and says casually, between bites, "I think we might be doing some things that are technically illegal." You stare at him. He shrugs. He finishes the sandwich. Nobody addresses this further. The party continues, and what a party it is. The money is flowing so fast you genuinely run out of ideas for how to spend it. You buy a mansion in the Hamptons. You buy a yacht. Not a modest yacht. A 267-foot super yacht previously owned by Coco Chanel, because apparently the universe had a sense of humor about your situation and wanted to give you a floating metaphor. To fund the yacht's fuel bill, you start smuggling cash to Switzerland. You decide the best way to move $3 million is to strap it to your wife's British aunt, Patricia. She's a lovely woman who looks like she should be baking scones, not laundering drug money. You wrap the hundreds around her torso with enough saran wrap to preserve a side of beef. She looks at you and asks, "Is this going to make me look fat, Jordan?" You reply, "Aunt Patricia, you don't look fat. You look like a very expensive person with a very sturdy core. Just don't sneeze or we're all going to prison." She walks through customs like a pro. The Swiss banker greets her with a straight face. The absurdity is now structural. You hire a helicopter to fly you to the yacht because the drive to the dock is inconvenient. You crash the helicopter in your own garden. The helicopter pilot quits. Your gardener also quits. Your lawn is not doing great. Neither is your decision-making. The drugs enter the picture around this time, and they enter loudly, the way everything in your life enters. Quaaludes, specifically the 1980s sedative that has no business being recreational but became recreational anyway, because humans are inexplicably creative when it comes to making bad choices. You take so many that you develop a tolerance measured in units that would hospitalize a rhinoceros. You and Donnie have a philosophical debate about the lemon 714 variety. Donnie says, "I think I can see my own soul, Jordan." You respond, "That's not your soul, Donnie." That's the ceiling fan. Now help me find the phone. I need to buy a helicopter to replace the one I just broke. You once drove a Ferrari home on Quaaludes and have zero memory of the journey. The Ferrari survived. The mailbox did not. The FBI is now interested in you. Not a little interested. Very interested. Specifically interested in whether your firm has been manipulating stock prices, running pump and dump schemes, and laundering money through Swiss bank accounts. The answer to all three of these questions is yes, but nobody is volunteering that information. An FBI agent named Greg Coleman starts showing up. You tell your lawyers everything is fine. Your lawyers tell you everything is complicated. You tell your lawyers to make it less complicated. They present you with a bill for $400,000. Nothing is less complicated. Your yacht, the one that is not subtle, sinks during a storm near Sardinia because you decided to sail it into a Mediterranean gale because someone told you you could not, and you had been awake for 48 hours on chemical assistance. Everyone survives, miraculously, including your wife, your daughter, a small dog of unclear breed, and approximately 6 crew members who are reconsidering their career choices in real time. The FBI gets closer. A Swiss banker you were using for money laundering decides to cooperate with authorities, which is the financial world's version of someone setting the building on fire and then handing out marshmallows. Deals start collapsing. Brokers start talking. Your empire, which was always built on confidence and audacity, rather than anything resembling a solid foundation, begins making alarming structural noises. Your lawyers come back, this time with a deal. Cooperate, they say. Testify against your colleagues, they say. Avoid the longer sentence, they say. You sit with this for a while. You write everything down in a memoir because honestly, you cannot help yourself. You're constitutionally incapable of doing anything quietly. You plead guilty. Securities fraud. Money laundering. The judge does not look impressed. You receive a sentence of 4 years, which gets reduced to 22 months in a minimum security facility that you later describe as not exactly brutal. You play tennis. You work on the book. You emerge blinking into the sunlight of a post-Stratton world where you owe approximately $110 million in restitution. The movie comes out in 2013. Leonardo DiCaprio plays you. You watch it in a theater surrounded by people who are laughing at your life, and you are also laughing because genuinely, what else do you do? The film gets nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Your actual victims are less amused. This is a fair response. You become a motivational speaker. You talk about sales techniques, ethics, redemption, the danger of excess. Audiences pay significant money to hear the man who committed massive securities fraud explain how not to commit massive securities fraud. This is either the most American story ever told or the least surprising ending imaginable, depending on your perspective. Your Life as Jordan Belfort is a masterclass in exactly one lesson. The ceiling on human ambition has no structural integrity whatsoever, and if you push hard enough, fast enough, with enough confidence and pharmaceutical assistance, you will absolutely crash through it, fall several floors, and somehow land on a speaking tour. The wolves don't always win, but somehow this particular wolf just kept talking his way to the next room.